Hi, this is Jeanette. Welcome to the channel, The Bridge Within. Today I thought it would be fun if we talk about prayer and the power within it. And I hope that you will share in the comment section times when prayer has really done miracles for you or someone that you know. There's many ways to pray, I suppose. Sometimes you get on your knees and you bow your head and you pray. Sometimes you just pray as you walk. Sometimes you pray silently. Sometimes you pray out loud. I love going to drum circles. It's been a long time since I've gone to a drum circle because the drum beats, you can kind of feel your prayer going up to the heavens with every beat of the drum. Sometimes you meditate and pray as you meditate. There's so many ways to do it. You have to do what feels right to you, what makes you feel most connected with our creator. One of the biggest impacts that prayer has had on my life was no, it's about 20 years ago. It doesn't seem like it was that long. It only seems like yesterday, but I almost lost a child to an illness that came on really quick. And it's an illness that 1 out of every 10 people will die with. So it's really hard to find doctors to and the medical staff that you need to treat this illness because they are so afraid of a lawsuit because it's such a risky disease to treat. And luckily, we had one person in place. We found a therapist and she helped guide us, and we never gave up. That was the thing. We never gave up. And but doors were slammed in our faces almost everywhere we went. And I think the door opened for us when the Ward family, the church family that we were attending at the time we were Mormon, and Mormons do a special thing once a month. They have a fasting and testimony meeting, and that's where we will fast for 24 hours. And then we will take that money that we would have spent on food and donate it to the poor. And then we will gather together and we will have a wonderful meeting where people speak from the heart and they talk about the meaningful experiences that God has given to them. And it's actually a really nice meeting. And so sometimes when a member is in real need, they will hold a special fast and testimony meeting. And I've only seen them do it twice in the 30 years that I was a Mormon. And I am so grateful that we were one of them. The other one was for a woman, a young mother who had cancer. And I guess the outlook didn't look so great because they decided they needed to do a fast and testimony for her. And it worked out. She's still alive. She's a grandmother now. And her family keeps growing. And it's a beautiful thing to see. For us, I was so honored and so surprised that they chose us to do a fast and testimony meeting for. Excuse me. I'm so grateful because I know that's when things turned around for us. So, so much, so many people praying for a purpose really amplifies things. So when we pray for others, it really makes a difference. When we pray for the world, I know it makes a difference. When we pray for ourselves and our family, I know it makes a difference. And if you can get a prayer group together where you're all praying for the same thing, I know it brings about miracles. So, my daughter at the time had an illness that 1 out of 10 children die with, or 1 out of 10 people afflicted die with it. And it because these statistics are so bad, it was really hard to find doctors or any of the medical staff that we needed to help us. And at the time, we didn't have insurance. So it was really a difficult time. It was frightening. It was scary. I just didn't know what to do. But luckily, we finally stumbled upon a therapist that would help us. And she was a specialist in the field and she guided us. She was the key we needed. And when it was time for my daughter to get medical help, we were looking for medical help, but no one would help us. Our therapist finally said, well, let's just go to Children's Hospital. They have a really good program there. And so that's where we went. And the day that we entered the hospital, I was told by the admitting nurse that my daughter was the second sickest child to enter Children's Hospital that day. And the doctor told me she was only 5 days from death, in his opinion. So I was so grateful when they took us in and put my daughter into the program. And all those things saved my daughter. She now lives a beautiful life. She's married and is expecting her first child and has a big hope for her future. And I know that would not have happened with prayer. That disorder that she had was something that we could not overcome on our own. And she doesn't struggle with it anymore. It's a complete miracle. Even the people at Children's Hospital were aghast at how quickly she was recovering. And things worked out so she could stay a little longer in the program. And so it really worked out for us. And it was just like one little miracle after another miracle. And so I know that would not have happened without prayer. And I don't know if I brought this up or not. I've kind of lost track of where I was. Um, One way I like to pray is through drum circles. I love a good drum circle. I haven't been to one for a long time, but if you are able to, go. Because what is wonderful about the drum is with every beat of the drum, you can feel your prayer going up into heaven. And I also, at the time, was going through, when I first started going to drum circles, was going through a very difficult time. It was towards the end of my daughter's illness, and I was starting to decide that I no longer belonged in the Mormon faith and started attending a spiritualist church. And my marriage was ending, and I just didn't know what to do. I had been a homemaker my whole life, and I just didn't see a way out of the marriage. And he was unhappy. I was unhappy. And I think it was during a time when we were feeling hopeless. And I felt like things were kind of getting a little dangerous for me. So every time I would go to the drum circle, that's what I would pray for, is for doors to open and for me to recognize it and have the courage to walk through that door. And things opened for me. My sister's husband left, and my sister said, come on over, let's let's live together, and you can help me with the kids. And so that's what I did for a while. I did it for 2 weeks, and then I had to move really quickly, and another door opened. One of the people that I was going to church with opened up their home to me, and so I was able to go and live there with them until I could get on my feet. In fact, actually, I'm still here, but it really worked out well. And I know those doors would not have opened without prayer. And when I was going through those hard times, I also found my teacher, actually two of my teachers in this world. One is Elizabeth, and the other one was Nicholas. Nicholas passed, and we would talk almost every day. And during those hard times, when I was trying to get on my feet, Nicholas would say, you need to pray like it's already happened and get on your knees. And so that's what I did. And slowly things have opened up. I think if I had done it more, kind of get lazy sometimes, I think things would have opened quicker. So I'm remembering what he told me, and I'm starting to do that. I'm starting to pray again, like the doors are opening, and I'm getting down on my knees and humbling myself before God. And that's when I decided that I would do the spiritual the spiritual YouTube channel, and also I plan on doing a hiking YouTube channel where I will start featuring local hikes once my health gets better. And then I guess there's another time that prayer really has been helpful that comes to mind is when I was going to the spiritualist church. There was this wonderful couple, Glenn and Dolly, and they were married for like 75 years and at the time, and he lived to close to 100. So they had been married so long, and they were such a beautiful couple. And I remember that I was so worried about my daughter's health because she was starting to throw up again. Not throw up, but she couldn't keep anything down. And it's not anything that she was doing on purpose. She really had something wrong with her. And I kept taking her to doctors, and no one knew what was wrong with her. We kept trying different things, and nothing was working. And so I would pray at church during our meditation. So at the spiritualist church, during the healing session, we would have a meditation and a prayer. And you could go up front, and there'd be healers up front. So it was like a meditation healing session. And during that meditation healing session, I was praying for my daughter. And after that meditation was over and when the time was appropriate, Glenn, who never gives messages, but he is a very spiritual giant. He turned around and told me, "It's the gallbladder. They don't have to remove it. They can control it. She can control it with diet, but it's the gallbladder." And turned around. And wouldn't you know it, we stumbled upon a specialist, and it was the gallbladder. And she still has her gallbladder, and she doesn't get as sick. I mean, her stomach is still, little finicky, but she no longer gets sick like she used to. I mean, she wasn't keeping anything down, and now she's healthy. And it's up to her whether or not she's going to feel good that day, and she knows it, and so she follows the guidelines. Anyway, and then there were other people that shared some stories with me. I remember I was going to a chiropractor that specialized in headaches, and he would like adjust the cranium. It was different. And he seemed to really help me, and because I suffered with daily migraines, and he was telling me a story about his brother, and I can't remember what organ it was, but it was one where we only had one. It was a spleen or a gallbladder or something, and it was really causing havoc on his health, and so he had to have it removed. And when the surgeons got in and removed it, wouldn't you know it, there was another, that organ, he had two. There was another one behind it. And I'm beginning to wonder if that is not as uncommon as you would think, because I also worked with a lady who had a clothing shop, and she said something similar about her sister. So, it's just like, was the organ always there, or was it because people were praying for these people's healths and the Lord decided to grow another, or a creator decided to grow another organ for that person? I just think the power of prayer is amazing. And I've also, we would listen, a long time ago, would listen to George Norrie. And I remember, I think it was him or a caller called in, or maybe it was someone he was interviewing, said that as a collective, if we all get together and pray about something together, or focus that thing changing for the better. If we do it as a collective, we can move mountains. So let's focus on a better world. Let's focus on health for each one of us. Let's focus on joy and peace and kindness. And please share your experiences with us, because you can make a difference when you share. All these stories aren't mine, and but they've touched me, and I know yours will too. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you at the next video. Bye.